What if the man who handcuffed you ended up being the one who set your heart free? Inspector Sadiq Musa, 34, had never broken a single rule in 10 years of service. Then he arrested Tariq Bello, 32, and everything he thought he knew about himself began to quietly fall apart. This is not a story about the law. This is a story about two men who found each other in the most impossible place and what happened when neither of them could walk away. Listen carefully as we dive into the story.
The night Kano breathed dust and heat. Inspector Sadiq Musa climbed the narrow staircase of a building near Sabin Gari, flashlight in one hand, radio in the other. His jaw was tight. His boots were heavy. He had done this 100 times. He knocked 3 times. The door opened slowly, and Sadiq forgot just for 1 second how to breathe. The man standing in the doorway was tall, maybe an inch taller than Sadiq himself. He had deep brown skin, a strong jaw dusted with a short beard, and eyes that caught the light like still water. He wore a plain white kaftan and looked like he had been reading before the knock came. He did not look dangerous. He looked quiet. "Your name?" Sadiq asked, his voice steady and professional. "Tariq," the man said. "Soft. Come." Tariq bellowed. Sadiq stepped inside. His team searched quickly. When they found what they needed, Sadiq turned back to Tariq without emotion. "You're coming with us." Tariq nodded slowly. He didn't argue. Didn't raise his voice. He simply held out both wrists, those long calm hands, and waited. As the handcuffs clicked shut, Tariq looked directly into Sadiq's eyes. Not with anger. Not with shame. With a look so steady, so honest that Sadiq had to glance away first. He looked away first. In 10 years that had never happened. On the drive to the station the truck was silent. Then, without turning his head, Tariq said quietly, "Sometimes the person who arrests you is the person you've been waiting to meet." Sadiq stared straight ahead at the road, but his hands tightened on the steering wheel. The interrogation room was cold and smelled of old concrete. Sadiq sat across from Tariq with a thin file between them and a single bulb hanging above. This was where suspects cracked. Where stories fell apart. Sadiq had sat in this chair for 10 years and never once felt nervous. Tonight something was different. Tariq sat straight. No fidgeting. No sweating. He watched Sadiq the way a person watches a fire, quietly, carefully, like he was trying to understand it. "You understand the charges?" Sadiq asked. "Yes." "Do you want to explain yourself?" Tariq tilted his head slightly. "Do you actually want to hear the explanation? Or is this already decided?" Sadiq's eyes narrowed. "Answer the question." "I am answering it." Pause. Sadiq shifted in his chair. He was 34 years old, broad-shouldered, with a clean-shaved face and the kind of serious, handsome features that made junior officers stand straighter when he walked in. He was not used to being studied. "You're not afraid," Sadiq said. It came out less like an observation and more like an accusation. Tariq almost smiled. "Should I be? Most people in your position are." "I'm not most people." Sadiq looked down at the file. "Look back up. What do you do for work?" "I teach. Secondary school. Literature and English." Something shifted in Sadiq's chest, small like a pebble dropping into still water. "A teacher," he repeated. "Yes." Tariq's eyes were steady. "I spend my days helping young people find their voice. I believe that's worth something." The room was quiet for a moment. Then Tariq leaned forward slightly, his voice low. "You're different from the other officers," he said. "The way you look at people. You actually see them." Sadiq's jaw tightened. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Try to get inside my head." Tariq said nothing. He just watched him with those calm, honest eyes. And Sadiq, for the first time in a very long time, felt completely and terrifyingly seen. He closed the file. "We're done for tonight," he said. But when he walked out of that room, he stood in the hallway for a full minute before he could make his legs move. He told himself it was about the case. 2 days later, Sadiq returned to the holding cell alone. No file. No notebook. He told himself he had follow-up questions. Professional questions. Standard procedure. He was lying to himself and he knew it. Tariq looked up when he heard the door. Surprise crossed his face, Then something softer replaced it. "Inspector," he said. "Sadiq," he replied, and then immediately wondered why he had given his first name. Tariq smiled. Just a little. "Sadiq." The way he said it, quietly like it meant something, made Sadiq's skin feel warm. He pulled a chair close to the cell bars and sat down. "I want to understand the full picture of your case," he said. Tariq studied him. "That's why you came back? The full picture?" "Yes." "At 7 in the evening. Alone." Sadiq said nothing. Tariq shifted on his small cot and rested his arms on his knees. In the dim light, he looked tired but still composed. Still that same quiet strength. "Can I ask you something?" Tariq said. "This isn't about me. Humor me." Sadiq almost said no. "Fine. Do you like your life?" The question landed like a stone. Sadiq frowned. "What kind of question is that?" "An honest one." Tariq's eyes were soft, not challenging. "You seem like someone who does everything right. Follows every rule. Works every hour. But you look tired. Not the body. The eyes." He paused. "Like a man who has been performing for a very long time." Sadiq stood up abruptly. His chair scraped the floor. "I'll see you tomorrow for proper questioning," he said quickly. "Okay," Tariq said simply. As Sadiq walked out, he heard Tariq's voice one more time. Gentle, like it was meant only for the air between them. "You don't have to perform for me, Sadiq." He did not turn around. But he stopped walking for just a moment. And in that pause, something in him, something old and locked and carefully hidden, quietly cracked open. A week passed. Then another. The case sat on Sadiq's desk and signed, unfinished, waiting. His supervisor asked twice about the delay. Sadiq gave clean, professional answers. Paperwork. Procedure. Verification. But every evening when the station grew quiet, he returned to Tariq. What began as interrogations had slowly, without either of them deciding, become something else entirely. Conversations. Tariq talked about growing up in a small compound in Kano, the last of 4 brothers, the one who always had a book in his hand while the others played football. He talked about his mother, who died when he was 22, and how he still sometimes bought her favorite chin-chin from the market and ate it alone. He talked about loneliness the way most people talked about weather, like it was just something that existed, unavoidable, something you learned to dress for. Sadiq listened. And slowly, carefully he began to talk too. He talked about his father, a retired army man who had mapped out Sadiq's entire life before Sadiq could form his own opinions. He talked about the weight of being respected. The loneliness of being in a room full of people and still feeling invisible. One night, after a long silence, Tariq asked, "Have you ever wanted something you thought you had no right to want?" Sadiq looked at him through the cell bars. The light was low. Tariq's face was open, unguarded, more beautiful, Sadiq thought, than anyone he had ever sat this close to. The word beautiful appeared in his mind and he didn't push it away. That was new. "Yes," Sadiq said quietly. Tariq nodded slowly, like the answer confirmed something. "Me too," he said. They looked at each other across the small space between them, the bars, the rules, the world, and neither of them looked away this time. The station had eyes. Sadiq had known this for 10 years but had never cared, because he had never given people anything to see. He was the inspector who worked late and said little. The man with the clean record and the unreadable face. But now people were watching. He caught it first from Constable Robbie, a quick glance between her and another officer when Sadiq signed out the keys to the holding block for the 4th evening in a row. Then from Sergeant Dinladi, who leaned in the doorway of the break room and said with a careful smile, "That bellow suspect is still here." Thought the paperwork was nearly done. "It's complex," Sadiq said. Dinladi said. "Just But it carried 1,000 words. That night, Sadiq sat with Tariq and said nothing for a while. "You look like something is weighing on you," Tariq said. "People are talking." Tariq was quiet. Then, "About you coming here?" "Yes." "Does that scare you?" Sadiq looked at his own hands. "I've spent my whole career building something. A reputation. A name. I have never once given anyone a reason to question me. And now I come here every evening and sit on the wrong side of these bars and talk to you like..." He stopped. "Like what?" Tariq asked softly. Sadiq met his eyes. "Like you're the only honest conversation I've had in years." Tariq said nothing for a moment. His eyes were full, not with tears but with something heavy and warm and real. "Sadiq," he said quietly, "what are we doing?" It was the question Sadiq had been refusing to ask himself. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, face close to the bars. "I don't know," he admitted. "Are you scared?" A long pause. "Terrified," Sadiq said. And for the first time since all of this began, Tariq reached through the bars. Just his hand, resting open on the bench beside Sadiq's. An offering. Sadiq looked at it for a long moment. Then, slowly, he placed his hand over Tariq's. Neither of them spoke. Neither moved. They just breathed. 3 days before the court hearing, the power went out across that part of Kano. The station ran on a backup generator, but the holding block stayed dim, just one weak light at the far end of the corridor. It felt like the whole world had stepped back and left them alone. Sadiq came as usual. He sat. They talked, about small things at first. A book Tariq had been rereading. A memory Sadiq had about his mother's cooking. The sound the city made at night when the generators hummed. Then Tariq said, "Tell me something you've never told anyone." Sadiq looked at him for a long time. "I have spent 34 years, he said slowly, being exactly what everyone needed me to be. The obedient son. The model officer. The man who never steps out of line." He paused. "And for most of those years I told myself that was strength. And now I think it was fear." Tariq held his gaze. "Fear of what?" Sadiq's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. "Of this. Of feeling something I can't control. Of wanting something that doesn't fit inside the life I built." The corridor was silent. "You mean me?" Tariq said. Not a question. Sadiq didn't answer. But he didn't look away either. Tariq stood slowly and moved close to the bars. They were separated by inches. Sadiq could see the quiet rise and fall of his chest, the steady warmth in his eyes. "I know this is complicated," Tariq said softly. "I know what it could cost you. I would never ask you to carry something that destroys you." "You didn't ask," Sadiq said. "What?" "You didn't ask me for anything." Sadiq's voice was rough. "You just were. Honest. Come. Real. And I walked in here every night because I couldn't stop myself." Tariq pressed his forehead gently against the bars. Sadiq leaned forward until his forehead rested against Tariq's, bars between them, whole worlds between them. But in that moment, nothing between them at all. "What do we do?" Tariq whispered. "I don't know yet," Sadiq said. "But I'm not walking away." The morning before the hearing, Sadiq did not sleep. He sat at his desk in the dark hours and stared at the case file. It was all there, everything documented, signed, reviewed. A clean, professional case. The kind that built careers. He read through it 3 times. Then he pulled out a separate sheet of paper and began writing. Not a charge. A report. A full, careful, honest report that outlined what the investigation had actually found. What was strong evidence, what was circumstantial, what had been built on assumptions rather than facts. He wrote it the way Tariq had once described good literature, with enough honesty to make the reader uncomfortable. It took him 4 hours. When he was done, he sat back and looked at what he had created. He knew what it meant. The senior officers would not be pleased. There would be questions about his judgment, about the delay, about why a clean case suddenly had complications. His phone buzzed. A message from his colleague Dinladi. "Court is at 9. You ready?" Sadiq looked at the file. Then at the report. Then out of the window at the pale Kano sky beginning to lighten. He thought about Tariq's voice saying, "You don't have to perform for me." He thought about his own voice admitting, "I think it was fear." He thought about a forehead pressed against cold metal bars, and the warmth he felt even through that barrier. He picked up the report. He straightened his uniform. He walked out of the office. The courtroom filled quickly. Sadiq sat in the front with the prosecution file, aware of every eye on him. Colleagues, lawyers, strangers and rows of wooden benches. He kept his face still. Unreadable. The face he had spent years perfecting. Then Tariq was brought in. He was dressed simply, dark trousers, a neat white shirt. Clean-shaved. He looked calm as always, but Sadiq caught the tiredness around his eyes, the tension in his shoulders that no one else would probably notice. He noticed. Tariq scanned the room and found him immediately. Their eyes met across the crowded space. Tariq gave the smallest nod. Sadiq breathed. When it was his turn to present the case, Sadiq stood, buttoned his jacket and placed the original file on the table. Then he placed his additional report beside it. He spoke clearly, professionally, but honestly. He outlined the gaps, the assumptions, the pieces that did not hold up under genuine scrutiny. He did not perform. He did not exaggerate. He simply told the truth the way a good officer, the kind he had always wanted to be, was supposed to. There was quiet murmuring in the room. The judge reviewed the documents with a furrowed brow. After a recess, the ruling came. Insufficient evidence for conviction. Case dismissed pending proper reinvestigation. Tariq was free to go. As the court emptied, Sadiq stood by the door, not waiting, he told himself. Just finishing his notes. Tariq walked past him slowly. As their shoulders almost touched, Tariq said very quietly without stopping, "Thank you for being brave." Sadiq said nothing. But he closed his eyes for just 1 second. And for the first time in a very long time he felt clean. 3 weeks later, Sadiq left the station at a normal time. Not late. Not buried in paperwork. Just normal. A thing he had forgotten how to do. He stopped at a small bukka near the market, ordered jollof rice and beef, and sat outside in the early evening air. The city moved around him. Motorcycles, voices, the smell of suya smoke drifting from a nearby grill. His phone buzzed. An unknown number. He almost didn't answer. "Hello, Inspector." He knew the voice immediately. "Tariq. I hope this is okay. You gave your number to my lawyer during the case." "It's okay." Pause. I wanted to say it properly. Not in a hallway. Not through bars. A quiet breath. What you did in that courtroom, it wasn't nothing. It was everything. Sadiq stared at his food. "I just did my job." No. Tariq's voice was gentle but firm. "You did something harder than your job. You told the truth when it cost you something. Has it helped? Are you okay?" "I'm home. I'm back at school. My students were happy to see me." A small laugh, warm, real. Sadiq felt it move through him like something loosening. "I'm okay. Better than okay, actually." "Good." Sadiq meant it deeply. "I'm glad." Another pause, longer this time, full and careful. "Can I ask you something?" "Yes." "Are you free on Saturday?" Sadiq looked up at the evening sky. Pink at the edges. Kano settling into its night sounds. He thought about 10 years of never stepping out of line. He thought about what freedom might actually feel like. "Yes," he said. "I'm free." They met at a small garden cafe on the edge of the city, the kind of quiet place with potted palms and plastic chairs and tea that arrived in mismatched cups. Tariq was already there when Sadiq arrived. He stood when he saw him, and in the late afternoon light, without the bars, without the uniform, without the weight of everything, Sadiq thought he was the most quietly beautiful person he had ever been in a room with. "You came," Tariq said. "I said I would." They sat across from each other. Ordered tea. Talked. It was different now, easier and harder at the same time. Easier because nothing was hidden. Harder because nothing was hidden. At some point Tariq said, "I keep thinking about the night the power went out." "Me too," Sadiq admitted. "I keep thinking about what you said. That you'd spent your whole life performing." "I remember." Tariq looked at him steadily. "Are you still performing now?" Sadiq looked back at him, at this man who had walked into his life in handcuffs and somehow, impossibly, made him want to become someone more honest than he had ever been. "No," he said. "Right now I'm terrified. Completely. But no, I'm not performing." Tariq smiled. And it was the kind of smile that reached everywhere. His eyes, his shoulders, the air around him. "Good," he said softly. "Because I'd like to know the real you. If you'll let me." Sadiq looked down at the table. At his tea. At his own hands, the same hands that had clicked handcuffs shut on this man's wrists not so many weeks ago. He turned one hand over, palm up, on the table. "Open." An offering. Tariq looked at it. Then slowly he placed his hand in Sadiq's. Warm. Steady. Real. Outside, Kano hummed and lived and kept its secrets. But here, in this small garden with mismatched teacups and potted palms, two men held hands across a table. No bars. No uniforms. No performance. Just a beginning.
And this is where their story begins. Not ends, begins. Because sometimes love doesn't arrive the way you planned it. It doesn't knock politely on your door or wait for the right moment. Sometimes It shows up in the most impossible place, across a cold interrogation table, behind iron bars, in the middle of a life you built to keep yourself safe. This story is for anyone who has ever loved someone they weren't supposed to, anyone who has ever stood at the edge of something terrifying and beautiful at the same time and had to choose. It's for anyone still performing, still waiting, still pretending the locked door inside them doesn't exist, because somewhere out there, maybe in the most unexpected place, is the person whose presence alone makes you finally want to be free. Thank you for watching. Kindly subscribe, like, share, and let me know in the comments. Would you have done what Sadiq did? See you in our next story. Bye.